Hello and welcome to the Bad Dice podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the Realmgate Wars book number 4. This is the fourth and final installment of the Realmgate Wars saga. This follows the battle and the sieges for the Allgates, which is the fortresses that are defending the 8 points, as the Chaos call it. It's quite a cool climax to the Realmgate Wars saga. So this episode, I'm going to be talking a bit about what's in the book. I'm also going to be talking about what we've been doing at our local gaming club. We've got a bit of a campaign going on and getting everyone involved. It's been a lot of fun. So I think I'm going to start with that. Now, every week or every month more like, we meet up at Derby War Games and we try and get as many people involved as we can. And we've had as many as, I think, 26 people in 1 week. But most of the time it's around the 20 mark that come. And we've started doing a campaign and it's really informal. It's totally play any sort of game you want. You can just have a fun, a few points each. You can have loads of points. My first campaign game was actually against a chap called John, and we just threw all our models on the table. We didn't really add it up. We just kind of looked to make sure the sides looked about even, and we played, and that counted as the first campaign game. We've got guys saying, oh, this one shouldn't count as a campaign because it's only a practice game. But, you know, that's the point. We're not actually tracking who wins as much as more the taking part. So it's a really loose campaign system. It's not my own. I can't take credit for it. Ben, who comes to the club, actually came up with it. So the way it works is you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for, might be 2 points for a draw, and 1 point for a loss. So you always get a point for taking part, even if you lose. And then there's bonus points available for killing the enemy general, and also extra bonus points throughout each month of the campaign. And our first month was paint a character from the Silver Tower, either one of the actual models from the box or one of the models from the app. So I actually took the advantage to paint a necromancer for my death army, and that's the other cool thing about this campaign. In the first week of the battles, losing my words there. First week of the battles, I played with my Chaos Dwarfs against Fire Slayers, and then this last week just gone, I actually used my Death Army, so I switched things up a little bit, and I painted the Necromancer and used him in the game, so that was quite fun. And I think there's some extra deciders that can, because people are going to end up on a lot of the same points, because it only counts your top 3 scores. So I think the next decider is your win, loss, draw tally. But more importantly, the extra bonus point as well is playing with a fully painted army. So if you turn up with models that are unpainted, you don't get those bonus points. So it is really inclusive, getting people to turn up and play along. You get bonus points for following the scenarios and the story of the campaign, and that's it really. It's just a bit of fun. So we've been enjoying that. I managed to get my Death Army rocking and rolling. I used the Legion of Death formation from the Death Rattle section of the Grand Alliance Death book. Now what this lets me do is take a White King. I'm looking for my book, it's over there somewhere. Take a White King and his retinue, basically. It's 3 units of skeletons, 1 unit of Graveguard, 1 unit of Black Knights, and this gives them a couple of abilities. The first one is they can all move 4 inches in the hero phase, and then the next one is I can put an extra model back to the unit, the same way the banners do. So like the skeleton banners add D6 models, and the White King would add an additional 1 to each model as well, each unit as well. So it's very regenerating. The horde coming back to life is what it kind of it feels like it's doing. As you unstoppable advance as your skeleton units are moving forward, and extra bodies coming out of the ground and reinforcing the horde. It's quite cinematic, it's quite fun. And in addition, we use the General's Handbook extra rules. So because I was allegiant to death, I got to pick a command trait, and I picked the one that gives an extra +1 to the rolls on my Death Allegiance ability. So on a 6, I'll ignore a wound, and I get +1 to that. So I'm actually ignoring wounds on a 5 or 6. And then with models coming back to life and things like that, it was a real tough army to get through. I played against Bloodbound, and there's a lot of slaughter. I charged 30 Graveguard in with the White King's command ability of an extra attack, so it was 90 attacks from the 30 Graveguard. I killed 15 Blood Warriors, plus a character of some sort. I think it was a Chaos Lord. And all 30 Graveguard died in return from the Blood Warriors bringing them down because they get to pile in an attack still, and they bounce mortal wounds back on the roll of 6 after a successful armor save. So it was absolute carnage, and what it meant was my Graveyard unit went into his lines, pinned him in his deployment zone, but I think it was over 2 rounds, just they all got destroyed. But it worked in my favour because I held him up for long enough where the rest of my army could get into place and stick around and grind out a scenario win. So I was quite happy with that. And speaking of scenarios, we actually played one from the General's Handbook. Now, we played Gift from the Heavens, which was one of my favourite ones from reading it initially. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing that to the camera now. And what this does is, on the second player's, in the hero phase of each player's second turn, a meteor strikes your deployment zone or your territory in your table half. And it's random where it comes, so you have to be prepared to capture it from anywhere. But you also score points by claiming it dependent on what turn you're on. So if you score your own in your own turn 2, you'll get 2 points. In turn 3 it'll be 3 points, so then you'll be on a 5 total, and so on and so forth. So the way our game played out was I scored mine on turn 2, and I also had models in the position where the meteor landed on my opponent's turn 2, which meant that at the end of his turn 2 he hadn't cleared those models, so he couldn't score on his own objective. Now, what we didn't think about at the start of the game, and this was more by chance than anything, was you don't only have to defend your objective, you also have to defend the positions it could possibly land in case there's models there that could claim it and you can't shift them in your turn. So it's quite tactical. And what happened there was the comet came down on my turn, I scored, it came down on my opponent's turn, he didn't score, so I was 2 points ahead. It was my turn next, and I scored again to go to 5, and I was able to stop my opponent's scoring again by retreating out of combat, so he was unable to actually kill my models and still stay within 6 inches of the objective and stop him scoring again on his turn, because the models that were the only models that could access my Black Knights that were contesting were actually already engaged with another unit, so he didn't have a successful charge on my Knights to be able to shift them. So it came a cat and mouse game of him trying to stop my Black Knights from contesting, while me charging units like I charged a Necromancer into some Chaos Knights, knowing that he only had 2 Knights attacking me and I've got 5 wounds. He shouldn't kill me, and I should still be alive with 1 wound, which is what I was, luckily, hanging on. So he couldn't charge the following turn. He had to retreat out of combat if he wanted to leave combat. And I was able to keep my Knights, again, long enough to contest that objective for a few turns, meaning my objective on my side of the table, which was secure, I was scoring points on every turn, and I had no problems getting the scenario win after 2 or 3 turns of my Black Knights coming up with the goods. I was lucky in that my Black Knights were in that position. If it had landed on the opposite side of the table, it could have been a different game. So it was a lot of fun, that scenario was, and that's Gift from the Heavens from the General's Handbook. So check that out when you get your hands on it. It's a really good fun one. So onto the All Gates. Now, this is a really cool book. As I said before, the 4th and final instalment of the Realmgate Wars saga. It's following Alariel and Sylvaneth fighting against Nurgle in the Realm of Life. The Khorne Bloodbound are fighting in the Realm of Metal and the Realm of Fire, and also the Realm of Beast. The Bloodbound get a lot. Tzeentch guard the Metal Gate as well, and the whole of the Extremist Chamber is deployed to the Realm of Fire. So there's some massive, huge battles. And what's cool about all the Realmgate books, really, there's some amazing artwork in there. Now, what I like about this one, they've got some huge battles with miniatures laid out on the table, and on a massive scale. Like, I think in the Realm of Beasts, where the Iron Jaws are assaulting one of the citadels, there's just thousands of models on the table. There's Stormcast there, there's Bloodbound, there's the Iron Jaws, and there's just literally, there must be 1,000 models on that table for the photograph to go in the book. And there's quite a few double-page spreads with that going on during the course of the book, and it's really impressive. Well, something that has been, you've seen this in the other Realmgate War books as well, but it's just taken it to the whole next level, and it's really cool. Some new artwork as well, lots of Sylvaneth artwork in there, as you can imagine, with them being the big new release. Also some very nice artwork of the Glotkin, which was not previously seen in any of the other books, I don't think. So, in addition, we've got 4 new times of war to so you can recreate the battles in the various realms. We've got 11 new battle plans, including some 3-player ones, which I always like. One of the 3-player ones that caught my eye was they're fighting over one of the Dreadholds, and the way you win the game is each player will have a part of the Dreadhold in their battlefield, or in their area of the battlefield, and that would be their stronghold. Now, you don't have to use the Dreadhold. You can use any building structure to denote that that's your stronghold, your fortress. And the way you win is have models in your opponent's strongholds when they don't. So you have to basically get into their stronghold, kill them and take over it, and do that for all 3 towers at once to win the game. That's to get the major victory, and there's details in there of how to get the minor as well. But the reason I like these 3-player scenarios is the fact that when you get new players coming down to your club, coming down to your gaming store, whatever, if you've already got a game booked against someone and a new player turns up without a game, and the choice is to sit at the side and watch, or more often than not, go home because they don't want to stand around, you can invite him in and just swap up what he's going to do. Instead of having a straight pitch battle against your opponent, you can now play one of these really cool 3-player scenarios, and there's more and more of them. Every book that comes out, there seems to be another one added in, so it's as if Games Workshop as well know that this is a cool way to be going forward and adding more options to the games. So yeah, I'm really impressed with this book. And there's also 22 war scrolls and 11 battalions. Now, as far as I can tell, there's the whole range of Sylvaneth war scrolls in the book. So if you're on the fence about buying the Sylvaneth battle tome, but you're getting the Realmgate Wars All Gates battle tome, the All Gates Realmgate Wars book, then you've got the rules for your Sylvaneth in there. And I know you can get them on the app and on the website for free. But it is nice to have the hard copies as well. So they're all in there. There's some really cool War Scroll battalions. And I've seen some people asking, the General's Handbook. So generally, mind the pun, the battalions from the Realmgate Wars books are not got points in the General's Handbook. And I think the reason for this is that they're based on narrative games, so they're more in line with narrative play. So the battalions are often like wildly overpowered or unbalanced. I suppose they're not really, because you can always put a points value on it that's appropriate, but I think they were that wild and varied that it's maybe difficult to point, and so they've left them for narrative play. Or that's what it seems anyway, because there's none of the Realmgate Wars battalions in the point system for the General's Handbook. But it doesn't stop them being in there and being quite cool. There's some really interesting Stormcast ones as ever. There's loads. I dread to think how many Stormcast battalions there's currently out there in the wild. All these books have had them in. The original starter book had some in, and then there's 2 Stormcast battle tomes as well that I've got them in. So there must be tons, absolutely tons of battalions. So yeah, that's the Allgate book. Now, I've had a hard time with this because I've started reading through it. I wanted a good look through all the pictures and do notes for my show, but I didn't want any spoilers, and apparently there's some really cool ones. So I'm looking forward to finishing reading through the story, and then in the future I can probably come back and give you a rundown of the actual story and what direction that goes. But it looks good so far, and I'm really looking forward to getting more stuck into it. So that's the Realmgate Wars book. So one final thing I want to give a shout out to before I get off. I'm actually running a tournament. So I think last episode I talked about the Warlords event that Games Workshop are running. If you've not got a ticket yet, it's tough. They've sold out. I think they sold out in a day. They were on sale over the weekend at the Warhammer World store, and then online they sold out in, I think it was half a day, maybe 4 hours or something. Just totally mad. All gone. Over 100 tickets, I think it is. So that's really cool. So if you do want to get on board with an event and you're thinking of diving in on one, but you're not sure where and when, I'm running an event in Derby. So that's, if you're not sure on Derby, it's right in the middle of the UK. We're in the Midlands. It's only about a 25-minute drive from Warhammer World. So if you want to come up for the weekend, do Warhammer World while you're up here, drive over to Derby for the tournament the following day. It's a cool idea. But we're going to be running the full General's Handbook rules pack. We're going to be playing 3 games, so 2 of each of the styles of battle plans. We're going to be playing 2,000 points. You can submit your list on the day, and we'll be checking them on the spot at the event. I've got a scoring system which I've wrote for the event myself. I'm excited to see how this works, actually. I've not awarded points for draws or losses, so you're getting tournament points for major victories and minor victories, and that's it. Anything else is a 0, and then you've got a decider on your victory points scored, so that's the actual number of war scrolls that you wipe out. Now, what I think this will do is encourage people to go for the scenario win, because the major victory is so important. After that, the minor victories are the second deciders, and then after that, it's just war scrolls killed. So you've got a constant need to score them scenarios, the most important thing. Then after that, you really need to kill stuff. So there's no backing off, there's no playing defensively. You're going to have to get those kills and rack up those points if you want to be in with a chance. And even if you look like you're going down, scoring more war scroll, destroying more war scrolls is always beneficial. So hopefully that'll work out quite well. Now, if you want to hear more details on this, you can go over to the Grand Alliance website. That's tga.community, and that's my forums all about Age of Sigmar. And on there, you can go to tga.community/events, and you can easily find the all the details for the Realmgate Wars. There's a whole events section on the website, and so if there's any other tournaments or if you're from any other part of the world, you can easily find more events there as well. Okay, guys, well, that wraps up this episode. Thanks so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you next time.